All right, so first on the agenda was offline access. So right now I am connected to the internet. So just to show you, like this distribution list here, and I'll go on the same side here to Syria, communities, Syria. So if I make a change to the file, like first, and then make a change, Dropbox will sync that into the cloud. As you can see, it's now syncing it. And if I open it up,
13 seconds ago.
Yep. You will be able to view the change. So let's say I am not online. So I'm going to actually go offline. So I don't have access to it. So I reopen the document and I make it second and third point to it, and I make a change to it. Of course, Dropbox right now is not able to sync it because it's not connected to the internet. So if I open it up, of course, it can't open the documents because there is no internet connection. So next time I actually have internet connection, and one of the questions was, what if the internet connection is spotty or it disconnects right when you start editing it? It doesn't matter, because given that all the files are synced locally onto your Dropbox folder, and the Dropbox folder is considered like any other folder on your computer, you can access your files just regularly without having to worry about a spotty internet connection. And the way we sync files, especially for larger files, is that we split each file into file blocks, so 4 megabyte file blocks. So if you're starting uploading a large file that is larger than 4 megabytes, once one file block has been uploaded and the connection cuts out, we will actually, when it reconnects, start uploading the second file block. We don't reconnect and starting re-uploading the same file. So in the delta sync also means we have delta sync capabilities. That means when you make changes to an existing file, instead of having to re-upload the existing file again, we only look at the file block that has been changed and only sync the file change of that file block. And again, for spotty connections, it's actually great, because if you make a lot of changes to a larger file, you don't want to be worried about like sitting there waiting until the file has been uploaded. You know that Dropbox will sync only the delta of that file block.
So and it's always a 4 megabyte block.
Yes.
So the most you could lose would be if it dropped it would be the 4 megabytes.
If it's for a new file, it's 4 megabyte. For file changes to existing files, we actually do an incremental, even within 4 megabyte, just the incremental of that delta of the file block.
Just so I understood that, it's not, so if I changed only in one block, which is 4 megabytes, am I syncing up the whole 4 megabytes?
No,
Or just
the 20 bytes that you've made
that.
a change.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
And that's what makes that's why in like a low
Right.
bandwidth environment,
I understand.
it's a big differentiator for us, because if you have to resync a whole file every single time, and we'll demonstrate that as well. We can do like a speed test, and you'll see, us side by side with Google, which is why we think a lot of people are using Dropboxes in these kind of spottier connection areas. It's for that reason.
Yeah. So let me reconnect.
Yeah. And
You never know whether it's for important reasons.
yeah, it's a
I'm reconnecting to Wi-Fi now. So Dropbox right now is a little grayed out, so I'm starting to connect. And of course, once it's connected, Dropbox, the application, will sync the change into the cloud.
It's hard to see, but you may be able to see like there's green checks and blue kind of files. So you can see that like all the folders and subfolders that have had changes in them are currently not synced.
Yeah, that's the one.
Once it comes online and we get connected again, I don't know if you need to relog in. But
Do you think I have to relog in?
So just go to a new browser tab.
Oh.
It remembered you.
Connecting. Well, while it's connecting, let me just close here. The second part is basically sharing collaboration piece. So you want to collaborate on the files. I've already showed you on the mobile how you can share folders on mobile. On the desktop application, it's very, very similar. All you need to do is just, again, right-click on that folder and then select Share this folder. And Dropbox will redirect you to the site. Now it's actually now uploading the file. to the side where you can type in the email addresses of the people you want to collaborate with, or you can create a group. I already created the Syria group, Syria, and create an entire group to that folder here. And then I can also invite people who are outside of the Syria group, like David, again, to that folder. And then again, I can give them edit or view only permissions. And then some security settings you can set is restricting that the folder can only be shared within the organization if it's a sensitive folder, or anybody even outside contractors can be part of that folder. Then again, who wants to be the manager of that folder? It's basically an admin of that particular folder here or project. Whether the project manager is the only one who can invite people, or everybody on your organization who has edit permissions. And then the last piece is just if you create links of that folder or links within that folder, you want them to be shareable outside of the people who have access to the Syria folder. So if you say no, that only the members of that folder can actually see any links created within that folder.
When you say see links, meaning links that are sort of hidden under text, I mean, if the link was written out, then you would obviously see
The content, yeah, the content of the link. So if you create a URL, which is, I'm going to show you in a second how you create those, you wouldn't be able to access them if you're not, the content, if you're not a part of the Syria folder.
So yeah, it's in an effort to restrict sharing of confidential information in confidential folders.
Yeah.
So
the syncing has finished. Let me just refresh the page here. And if I open the document now, you will see the changes that I've been doing when I was offline.
good points, 2 and 3. Those are your strong points.
We do have an Office 365 integration, but I think you can edit them on Word Office Online. But I don't think you have an Office 365 deployed right now. But just
No need.
no need. The second piece is basically sharing a link to a file or folder. So again, the second use case is sharing links. Of course, you can create shared links directly from here and select share Dropbox link. If you share links directly from here, it'll just copy the link into the clipboard and you can paste it into your own email client. But there is some security that you might want to put around the links, like password protection and expiration of links. So in this case, I would just recommend sharing the link from the web browser. So if I go here, I select share, let's open it up. I have some settings that I can send. So I can open it up to everybody. I can restrict that only people who are part of the organization can view the link. And then, so if they click on the link, they'll be asked to log in to Dropbox in order to see the link. And the third part is everybody with the URL can see it, but only if they know the password to see the content of the link.
This is actually important for you guys because you have so many different domains. The way that Dropbox recognizes, for example, Hanford Inc. is it's anybody in the business account, regardless
That's
of
going away.
what.
We're
You're
in the
gonna
process-
consolidate?
We're in the process. We're,
Okay.
I don't know, maybe 25% away.
Okay, good. Yeah, so it won't be an instance
In the
anyways, but if
long run, we're all really one of them, with
Yeah.
the possible exception of our friends in Scotland.
but yeah, in that small case, right? Or let's say you bring on a contractor who has a
Which,
different email
that's always
address.
a use case. We have external people we need to share stuff with.
Yeah, so they don't have to have like a Mercy Corps email address or a specific email address. It's just anybody who you've invited into your business account.
Yeah.
That's what the second one refers to.
And then of course you can set expiration dates, 7 days, 30 days, or as soon as tomorrow.
So then you can password protect certain files as you choose. Can you do that at the
If-
folder level?
So only on links. So if you
Only on
only
links.
password protect specific URLs. So instead of attaching it to an email, the whole file, you create a link and attach the link to the email and send it away. But when they click on it, so save settings. So this URL here, I copy and paste it into my own email client, or I email it directly from Dropbox. So the recipient, when they click on the link, that's an incognito window. They will see this password protected window. You can custom brand your links as well, so they know it's coming from you. When they type in the password, they will be able to see the contents of the link. and they don't have to have a Dropbox account. So I'm not logged into my Dropbox, but I do have the ability to preview. And most of the documents and PDFs and videos and images are previewable on the web. They don't have to download it, which again saves on the bandwidth of large files. If it's just, they can just preview on the website.
But if I am a member of that group with access to it, I don't have to use a password to get that file.
That's correct. If you're part of this Syria's shared folder, you don't. There is no password protection to it because you've already been invited to it.
Right.
Questions about the two types of sharing? One is collaboration, inviting a group to collaborate, and this one piece is just sending a one-way link. They don't need to make changes to it. All they need to do is just viewing it.
One nice thing about this is it looks like you can make comments though, right? So you can collaborate with people externally and they can talk about the document with you, but any changes they actually make physically to the document won't be reflected back. So for example, if I'm working with you, Peter, and I just want your feedback on something, but I don't want you touching the document, you can still make a comment to me and say, hey Dave, section 3 really needs to be gutted or something like that.
Yeah, and
whenever I'm working on a document, though, is it correct I'm working on my desktop or my mobile? I'm working on the device, I'm not working in the cloud. Is that correct?
There's 2 ways to work on Dropbox. Well, 3 ways, right? You can work on, we recommend working on the desktop because that way if internet connection does bug out, you're not out of luck. But if you do, sometimes people want to have like a large archive of folders that they don't want synced locally on their device. And so they'll go to the cloud, they'll download a file, and then they'll re-upload it.
Right, but when I'm editing it, when I'm working on it, I'm still working on my desktop. I'm
That's
not
right.
working directly on the web.
That's
like with Google Drive. I just want to understand.
Yeah, you're dependent on connection at that point.
Right, I understood.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
It's
you're right.
always on, when I'm editing a document, it's always on a local device, not editing directly in the cloud with a connection. Is that
I
correct?
think there are some possibilities for editing in the cloud, isn't that right?
that's paper, but that's a product that we're rolling out, which is a real-time collaboration tool that we're rolling out early next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Google Drive, you're doing Google Docs online, but you still could have Word docs.
No, I know. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to understand how they're modeled.
Yeah, and in terms of working on a file, again, we see a huge adoption of Dropbox because it's just like any folder in your computer. You don't have to go online and sign into your account.
Right.
You just open the document here, and I'm going to show you the badge here. Let's minimize this. The badge is this little icon here. That's what we were talking before. So if Dave were to access the same document at the same time, I would actually see him pop up in this badge here and says Dave Benyon is viewing the document as well. However, if I'm making changes to the file, so if I'm saying action plan for Syrian refugees, and as I'm making changes, Dave's badge will turn into a lock icon. So we don't specifically lock them out, but we do notify Dave or whoever is viewing it can be just more than 1 people. We notify everybody who's viewing the document but not making changes that Yev is making changes to the file. Please don't make any changes or else you will create a conflicted copy. So it will turn red, so it's a proactive notification, but we won't lock you out because again, if Dave goes, or if I go to lunchtime and it's open for 2 hours, sometimes other people need to make changes to it because they have a deadline to hit.
Long lunches.
Yeah, I'm from Europe, so.
So you cannot actually do simultaneous editing. You can both be in the document looking at it at the same time, but only one person could actually be changing it at one time.
Exactly.
So what happens is when let's say Yev is making edits in a document and I open the document, Yev will get a notification that I'm viewing, and the next time Yev saves it, if I still have it open, a window will pop up that says get Yev's latest version. And I click a button and it automatically populates with.
So when Yev is making changes, those are not showing up on your screen?
Not
That's
yet,
right.
because it's locally on my computer. Until I hit save, it's not syncing anything into the cloud, so Dave cannot know that I'm actually made a change.
Got it.
So the second is to click save, now Dave will get a notification saying Yev has made changes. Do you want this button here? Will turn into get Yev's version. If I click on the button, it'll reopen the document with my most current versions. And in terms of there's one use case where you want to like work on it, like see the progress of the document, and then make it have a edit a draft of the document and the file version of the document. While we don't have a way to recognize a differentiate a draft from a final version, with the commenting section, if I just clicked on commenting on my Dropbox badge here, will let you give you the ability to again tag people. Let's say if I tag David Benyon, can you please review post? David is now getting an email notification that I've commented him on this document. He can go in and then say, looks good to me, and then this is all recorded. And if it's resolved, I can just select check mark, and it's going to be show resolved comments in the show resolved comments section of that documents. So there is no way to tag a file in like, oh yeah, this is the final version, but I think through the commenting section you can actually see the progress of the document without having to email back and forth and making changes in this way. So I think commenting is a way for you to project manage a document.
And comments always trigger an email, or you have to call it out?
It always triggers an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you somehow lock it by, if no other means, by disabling editing capabilities for everyone else, or is there another way to lock a document?
The locking of documents is then through the shared folder. So you give them only view-only permissions.
So it's through permissions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do not do the check-in, check-out.
No, I don't mean that's it. I mean, this is, if it's a final version, and even if there's no way of
I see.
notifying it, if you just say, on that document, say no changes allowed.
Yeah.
Deny permission.
Yeah.
In this case, maybe move the document into another folder where people only have view-only. So again, there's no way to lock it right here, but we can create some workflows with you, and you're going to have an account manager assigned that goes through this kind of workflows with you together.
Yeah.
And when you move the documents give up the permissions and sharing that you've set up in the old folder and take on the characteristics of the new.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. That's
and
how
the way it would probably be set up, right? If I'm just gonna hop up here for 2 seconds. You probably have like, a folder, and you'd have, a subfolder that has the same permissions, right? You've got a bunch of files in here that you're working on. Once this one becomes a final version, you just put it in the, the final folder. It has the same permissions as this shared folder, but everybody knows like, hey, it's the final version. Don't go muck into that.
Yeah. The other piece is searching. So while we don't have tagging and like metadata search capabilities within Dropbox, again, depending on what you're using today, and we're gonna chat offline about like the metadata system tagging that you've used today. Maybe there's ways to overlay that over Dropbox, given that it's a local application here. Again, searching on Dropbox folders, just you open, search bar here on Windows. You have a little search icon as well. It will search through all your documents, including Dropbox folders. So even within Windows and Mac, you can designate. Even if I click on Communities and I select Syria, I can select within which folder I want to search for that particular file. That's on local.
What is it searching on? Is it searching on title, searching on content, searching on?
It's full text search.
So on the desktop application, it's just the title, because I don't think Mac allows for full text search. However, if I go on the web, we have full text search. So if I just go in general view, and now so I mentioned Syrian refugees. It's not part of the title. So if I select refugees and select enter, it will show me the document that has refugees inside the content of it. So it's not part of the name of the file, but if I open it up, it will have refugees as the content of it.
So it's only full text or title, you can't set any parameters like author, date, or anything
So,
like that.
I'm gonna go off the rails for a second. We're all under NDA, by the way. You signed your document.
Yes.
So, we're tagging is going to be, metadata tagging is going to become native to Dropbox, and that's being built, and tentatively is for early 2016, potentially the first quarter. But that's
I never hold the software.
yeah, it's vaporware, right? Like, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. You don't buy because of that. You don't buy based on that, but and Yeb and I were talking about this before. We hear this all the time. Something we're working on. We've prioritized a few other features to give more IT security and partnerships with other companies, and then this is going to be coming.
I have a question. If you work on a document and the author is part of that document, do they sign it as with their names within the documents, or how do you know who's the author?
Well, when the document's created, it records who made it.
Okay.
It's in the document metadata. Right?
So the document, not within the
There's
content.
who created the file, and then there's the author. You would have to assign that in a field, or you could. I don't think you could expect it to be right there.
Totally understood. The reason why I'm asking is if you work on the document and you sign it with your name within the document, of course you can then let's say I'll make a change, and let's say I sign it as Yev. I can just say refugees and Yev, and it will show that document to you. Yeah.
One of the things, like, and we'll want to dive deeper into this because we'll want to see how your current tagging system is set up, how you manage it. Is that like end user managed, or is there somebody internally who's managing all that tagging? And then we can compare that with what Dropbox is building to see, does it satisfy requirements, and is it similar to what you're already doing, or how different is
So
it?
you have something to experiment with already.
So, yeah, it's something that's going to be released. I've seen a demonstration of it. We have this, I mean, this is Dropboxy, but we have this like hack week where everybody goes and builds their own stuff and tries things they've always wanted to do. And last year somebody built tagging inside of Dropbox, and now it's getting, when you build it, typically they build it for iOS. We need to make sure it works for Android and Windows and Linux and every single type of software out there. But yeah, so that's on the roadmap, NDA 2016.
And then last but not least is
Yeah, will not comment. On the other
I
hand,
will not comment.
throw myself on that one.
It's not on whatever is not on the specific roadmap. I can't comment on it, but it is. I will back him up on it. It is something that has been very relevant with other customers as well. So we're not mute on it or blind on it. The only burden there is just like, are your end users gonna create the file and then save it, and then they go to Dropbox in order to add the tag to it? So there's a two-step. The more steps you need to do to finalize a file, the more likely they're gonna like drop off and use something else that is more simpler. That's why we want to be very thoughtful about it, and that's why we want to make sure that if you do launch something, it's something that the users are actually gonna use, and not just like not use it and use something else. So we want to be very thoughtful about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine that National Geographic is pretty much one of our first flagship customers, and they have a ton of digital content that they want. Yeah, right. So you can imagine we get a lot of feedback and questions from them around that. Same with News Corp and all the people who are publishing
Murdoch will
content.
change all of it. Right?
What?
Didn't Murdoch just buy it?
Well, that's fine. I mean, we own News. We have News
Yeah,
Corp
we
too,
have
so
we are
it's
part
all
of
the
this
same
group,
bag
so
for me.
just same umbrella. In terms of file history and deletion recovery, again, I'm going to show it directly from the badge here, but of course you can do it with any file types. We have from the badge here, you can select view file history. It'll redirect you to the website where you can see the entire file history. So you will see who made the changes. Right now it just says my name because I'm the only person who made the changes, but you will see everybody's name. So there's some metadata on the people who made the changes and when they made it. It's just not searchable right now. But given that we've already have that metadata in Dropbox, maybe in the long run there is a way to make sure you can kind of like filter down by whatever you're looking for. But you can also do the same thing on any kind of file types. I'll do the photo here, go to previous versions, and of course it's going to be just one version of that file. And then in terms of deletion, so if I accidentally deleted the file, move to trash. Where is move to trash? Oh yeah.
Dove into the name.
Move to trash. So if I go here, communities, Syria, the document is going to be gone. I'm going to empty my trash bin. So I have it open. Empty my trash bin. So it's gone from my computer, but in Dropbox, you can see a little trash icon here that says show deleted files. and you will be able to see the deleted file
Can you
in
guys see that at
grayed
all?
out. Oh,
I can't see.
doesn't
I
really
think it's just
show.
not rendering real well.
So it's grayed out.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's very hard to see.
Yeah. I'll do it. It's right here. Hopefully this works.
Uh,
No, it's grayed out.
you can see that I'm hovering
You can
over
see
it.
it.
There's a little
Yeah.
line. Okay. So you all you need to do is just right click on it. You can see that the drop down, select restore, and Dropbox will now restore the file and then sync down onto your local device.
Does this sysadmin set how long it hangs out in the trash before it's not?
Yeah, and we have a permanent delete API. So right now, there is a way to restrict that the end users cannot permanently delete any file. So if they delete it once, they can't permanently delete. So the sysadmin can then go in every 3 months and permanently delete for everybody else's Dropbox account. That's kind of a manual process, but through our API, you do have the ability to automate that process. So after 3 months or 6 months, every deleted file can be purged permanently.
One thing to consider too is, unless there's rules around document like retention or deletions, Dropbox is uncapped space. So it's not like you're gonna run up against your quota with us or something like that. We don't want you to be managing storage. We want you to be creating content, sharing content, distributing it.
There's no money in storage.
You're right.
No.
There's no margin. There's money, but there's not little margin.
That's right.
Yeah, now it's all about usability and how much do you get out of it. So it's not about storage anymore, but actually getting use out of the product and the features that the product is launching. What else? So we have collaboration, file retention. Last piece is the Google story. Do you want to
Yeah.
start off?
Yeah, how about you kind of switch over? I think there's a couple things we want to show today. And we want to focus on what Dropbox does well with Google. We just don't, we know that Google is really good, and I think I've already said this in front of this group. It's your calendaring system is set up on there, your email system, your instant messaging, it's all on Google, and that's not going to go away. Your Drive engagement, it looks like some people are using Drive as well. I was talking with Michael, and
Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
Highly variable.
I was looking at, do you mind if we just discuss, let me see. I just want to pull up the figures I have. So it looks like you have about 4,000 people on Google. These are all ballpark figures, but about 2,000 of them have one document in Google Drive. The number of people with 1 to 24 documents is 1,650. The number of people with 25 to 99 is 261. I'm giving ballpark figures, that's not ballpark. And then the number of users with at least 100 is about 185.
That's
So-
what's from Adam.
I got those from, well, it's a big spreadsheet, and I think I got it from
I think, so to your point, it looks like, is that old?
I think so.
Yeah, that is not like yesterday, it's a few months.
And we need to run the latest figures on our side as well, just to see like what it's used for. Unless this has dramatically changed, what it seems to me is that some people are engaging, on Drive heavily, right? Those people that have over 100 documents. But the rest of the group is using Drive pretty minimally, right? About 3,500 people in particular have less than 25 documents, so they're not.
That's true of everything in our support.
Okay.
Digital and non-digital. If you have, except for email,
Everybody's using
email is
Yeah.
there's a bell-shaped curve on email too.
Yeah.
But by and large, any other application, there's a core group or a small group that uses it a lot, and it's a long tail.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I think it's probably the same with Dropbox.
I'm sure.
It would be interesting to see, and I'll try and run these figures because I think it's helpful to like measure them side by side. Because my sense is what people use Google for is what they're really good at, and especially in like the countries with spotty internet connections that you're working in, Africa in general, right, is not a great internet location. And when you have a tool that's very web based with Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets and Google Slides, the frustrations mount if you lose connectivity. with Dropbox, a lot of people move to Dropbox because it is built for word processing and handling all these different file types and working in bad bandwidth areas. I ran it when Michael sent me these numbers. I need to pull like kind of apples to apples comparisons. But Dropbox, we just looked at the Mercy Corps domain, right, which had mercycorps.org has about 220 people signed up on Dropbox. And within the last 28 days, 49,000 files or versions of files had been saved or uploaded within that period of time. So what it shows me is like there's a lot of engagement on Dropbox, a lot of
49,000 in the last, what was that, 30 days?
30 days, right? And the way that Dropbox counts, I can dive into that number with you. But it's every time a file is put into Dropbox or edited in Dropbox, right? So like if I put a file in Dropbox, that's one ad. If I edit that file, 2 ads. So
Because you create a new version. Every time you make a change, it's a new version.
222 is the figure I
Are
have later.
consistently using it?
That's just the number of people that are signed up.
Right, no, you said how many ads there were in
49,000 files.
30
in
days.
30 days. You know how many users that is?
It's distributed between the 222.
Yeah.
So it's like the Japan desk, that's all they use. So they'd be editing that all day long,
Yeah.
but that's
Right.
like 2 people, so.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
so maybe they do 30,000 of those, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, and I think it's
Yeah.
helpful, right? It's hard for me to dive in.
Per capita, that's 200 file ads per person. I mean,
Yeah, or changes to files.
yeah, right, but
Yeah.
200.
Yeah.
Or the axe, drop axe.
So-
A little more than that, but just the rough numbers.
Yeah, and so it makes me wonder if that's why people are using Dropbox, right? They're using Dropbox for their files. They put those in Dropbox and then they use Google for their email and their communications. So I think
Well, we also know of a couple of the largest Google users are just backing up their C drive on it, right?
Which is what, sorry?
There's a lot of people doing that, cause then they can switch to
Oh,
English.
backing
and
things
it's
up.
not-
They just dumped their whole C drive on it. So-
In Google.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
which is not their whole C drive. I mean,
On my
My
document,
I think we
my
found people with over 100 documents.
My
Yeah.
documents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got the
They
people.
use it as their document storage,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what we would recommend Dropbox for, right? Because what's scary is you've got somebody in a different country who's got one computer and they have it all sitting on my documents and it falls off the car or off the rickshaw or whatever it is, right? And I've seen videos of my friend on the back of a motorcycle in Kenya, like going through traffic. It's not pretty. It's actually gorgeous, but what I would say is you don't want somebody tied to a device. You want them to access content regardless of a device. You would hate to have a ton of work lost, right? And it sounds like people are using some people are using Google for that. And I think it's on me to bring the Dropbox numbers and say people really are using Dropbox for word processing and file storage. So and I'll do some work to get you those numbers. I got these yesterday, so I'll run some queries on our
I
own.
thought there were a lot more than 222.
So
Is
there's
that
actually
just-
there's
is that in all the
1,500. That's just in the
That's
mercycorps.org.
mercycorps.org.
Yeah. So my latest figures, I'll just
Oh, that's just mercycorps.org, that's not the subdomains, is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. On the subdomains, let me see. You have about 3 terabytes worth of data. I don't know exactly how many files that is, but that's a lot of content sitting. From a Dropbox perspective, that number of free users having that much content that's a lot of people either getting close to quota or hitting quota or
3 terabytes for how many people?
1,400. So it's 2.91 terabytes
3 is good.
over 1,500, 1,450. So
Of those 1,500, do you know how many have done something that lasts 30, 60, 90 days, whatever?
what I can do, I think like 30 days is always a shaky number for us because it's like if somebody uses it heavily for a minute and stops using it, I prefer to look at like the 6-month number.
That's fine.
I'll try and
Whatever, I
pull
was-
those
I was
figures
just
for you.
using- Yeah, 6 months would be better,
Yeah.
I like that number.
I can run those numbers for you.
Because my guess is of the 1,500, some of them have already left the company.
So that's definitely true with how much attrition, turnover you have.
Turnover, yeah.
Typically, just to give you kind of an estimate of what we typically see, it's about 50% at 6 months, 75% and I ran it just across a couple of your domains just to kind of like gain I want to see like in Guatemala and these different places. Sounds like you've consolidated some domains, so that will obviously shrink the 1 month number. But it's usually 50% at 65, yeah, 50% for 6 months, and then within the past year, you'll have about a 75% number. So just to give you a rough estimate what I've seen across your domains that I've run. I can give you more exact figures. What?
I live on Rough.
All your decisions.
I think
Right.
while we are recording, let me just show you
Yeah,
the integration
great.
that we have with Google, and then we can of course go offline and then
Thank
not
you
bother the
everyone
people
for
who are-
listening to our
That was
discussion.
75% have used within last year, or 75% drop off?
Used within last year.
So the integration we have natively with Google and Dropbox is our mail integration. So I'm popping it up a new email, and there is a little Dropbox icon you can see on the bottom right. So while you're composing your email, you do have the ability to go into your Dropbox environment. Click here to enable that. Oh, there it is. Let's say again, that same communities folder, you want to attach that photo that I just uploaded through my mobile device as a link. So I create the link, insert link, and that will insert the link in here. I can then
So that's just a link, that's not a document, correct?
That's right.
give it opinion.
And
Yeah.
the reason
So when they click on it, it will actually
you're
create
an
the
IT
link.
guy, you get it.
Yeah, so you're saving bandwidth of not actually attaching the document, but only the link.
What causes that button to appear? Is it like a browser plugin, or is it done through Google on the administrative side for the account? Or
What causes the thumbnail to
No,
oh,
just
The icon.
oh, that's an extension. So it's a browser Chrome plugin.
okay,
Yeah,
so
it's a
each
Chrome
user
plugin.
has to install that on
That's
their-
correct, yes. So
and
that's
we can send instructions on how to do that. And
yeah, that's our native integration in terms of email. One thing I did miss, and I wanted to go back, is our actually auditing, because that was part of the links that you wanted to see. The events tab audits all of the file activity within Dropbox. So if you go to events here, you can see all the file activity, and then you do have the ability to filter down by different shared folders once it's loaded. You have the ability to go to a specific shared folder and then again see the file activity within that specific shared folder.
so think if you're
So right here.
in a file and you're not necessarily doing a lot of work in there, but you just want to see what's been happening, you can go do this. As an administrator as well, there's an admin console, and we can do this,
Yeah.
where you can audit all of the sharing and all of the creation that's happening within Dropbox across the account.
Is that on a folder basis, or can I just look at a file and see all the activity on the file?
As an admin, you can
Oh,
go
but
to
as an
file
end user,
basis.
is
As
it-
an end user, it's so if you go to Lebanon, for instance, you can see the file activity as well.
In Lebanon, but can I see the activity on a specific file in the folder?
Yeah.
And nothing else, I just wanna see file X.
Then it's going to be the version history of that file.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can click on any file in Dropbox, right click on it and say view previous version.
Exactly.
For Fusion.
And then last but not least, Google Docs. Again, there is ways to save Google Docs, Google Sheet, and what's the PowerPoint version of it? Slides, Google Slides within Dropbox and open them up. It's not like right click save as, but what we've seen other customers use is actually, so let's say the project proposal, I already have that document. Let's say I created this brochure document. It's already pre-created for me, and I select that everybody in the advanced tab, I select that everybody within the organization who has access to the document can edit it. So I save, done. So you can save this document to your Dropbox folder by simply, and again, this is a workaround that customers have used. It's not a native integration with Google. By just dragging the whole website into my Syria folder. So now this is saved as a website, but if I close this window here and I double click on this file, it'll open the document and I will be able to make changes to the document.
So where is that, are you in Docs now? I
Yes,
can't-
docs.google.com.
Oh, there you
So there's ways to save it by clicking on the
Yeah.
lock icon and dragging it into your folder.
go.
And I've tested it on my mobile. On the mobile, if you have your Google Doc application, you do have the ability to edit it as well.
But basically what's really in Dropbox at this point is just a link, correct?
Just the link
It's not
to the
You're
website.
not moving that content to Dropbox.
That's correct. Yes.
And that's because it's not a desktop.
Well, yeah, well, right,
file.
well, yeah, well, no, but you wouldn't want to.
What?
No, I like the way it's done.
I want to hear all the
Architecturally.
good, the bad, and the ugly.
Architecturally, I would not want to take the Google Doc and put it in Dropbox from an architectural point of view.
Yeah.
I think you made a good, whoever did it made a good architectural decision, just link.
Yeah. It's an online file.
But if you need to edit it offline.
Well, then you.
Yeah. For that, you need internet connection.
Right.
No, you can edit docs offline in Chrome.
Right. Sorry. Separate issue, separate issue.
Yeah. In the long run, we want to have a deeper
I
integration with
don't want-
Google.
what I-
Right now, these are the two integrations that we have.
What I wouldn't like is, what I think is not healthy, especially around here, is the same document in two different places. So if I edit it in Docs,
Yeah.
it's no longer, whatever in Dropbox is the old version, or vice versa.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So that's,
Okay, that
I'm
makes
talking
sense.
about, that's the architectural issue that,
So it's not.
just like another question,
It's
can the
the
same-
URL.
yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same URL.
Oh, so it's, yeah.
Can the same document, I mean, you've got the traditional file hierarchy, folder hierarchy. Everybody's been living on that for 75 years. Can the same document appear in two different folders in
No, because
Okay.
if the same document appears in, it's going to be two different documents. You'll have two versions of the same it's going to be two versions of that document. There's no way to determine that it's basically consolidating them, knowing, okay, if it's in Syria and it's the same document in Jordan, if I make changes to it, the Syrian version of that document will also change.
Well,
it's going to be two
it's
different.
It's because basically your file folder model is a one-to-many, not a many.
Yeah.
Which is kind of traditional way. But with tagging, you'll get around that, right? Because you can, the document can have multiple tags, correct?
With tagging, we will be able to add the
You'll have
metadata.
be able to have more than one tag on a document, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Lots of different tags.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording. Anything else before I stop recording?
Has anybody been looking at their list?
There's a lot of things that we were planning on covering offline. I think most.
Yeah,
of
the
no,
digital
I
library we're gonna
Yeah, no,
cover
no,
offline.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if there was anything.
Oh, is there like an admin panel that shows you how many people have documents and what they're doing? Could we have a quick look at it?
Mm-hmm. It's Dropbox.
I think to show like a few basic functions like deleting a user and
Yeah.
how to invite somebody, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have Active Directory for user management,
With LDAP.
LDAP? And for single sign-on, do you use some kind of solution? SAML. Who do you use for that?
SAML to
Yeah.
with OAuth and Shibboleth.
Shibboleth. Okay, you're using Shibboleth. A lot of education institutions use Shibboleth as well. We have an integration with Shibboleth as well. So given that EDU higher ed.
Most of our stuff is open source, but you know, our
Makes
LDAP
sense.
is FDS, now directory 386, 389, we haven't migrated up to that.
Mm-hmm.
All of our core internally developed architectures are built on open source tools, including Linux.
Makes sense.
No, not too many NGOs do that.
No, yeah, you're very advanced.
Well,
Technologically.
Don't pay me compliments.
So I'm going into the admin console here. It'll give me a dashboard, and again here I can drop down and say active members, the storage, how many, what's the progression of the storage here. Links created, it goes up and down. In this case, in this demo account. For user management, if I go to members, you can see all of the members of your organization here. and you can onboard and offboard within the admin console. So let's say if I'm curious what I am doing with my Dropbox business account, I'll just go into my view here, and then I'll be able to see how many what's the storage of my business account. So I'm gonna have like around 6 gigs of files. So the usage, I have 6 gigs of files in my documents. These are the group memberships that I'm part of, which is basically the Syria is one of them. Any linked devices, and we always track the IP address of where you last accessed the device. So if your device is lost or stolen at any time, you can select unlinked device and remote wipe all corporate data from that device. And what it does is it basically removes the Dropbox business folder from your computer. It doesn't go into the trash icon, it'll just go away from your computer.
So in addition to single sign-on, is there an API for that, for adding and deleting users? So for
Yeah,
example,
there is an API.
So we have our own homebrew account management system built on, on FDS. And then our administrators don't have access to the Google console. All changes there on that and other apps are all done through APIs built on our own help app and the application that manages.
So you have developers who manage that
We have a
API?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's very unusual.
No, Google has an API,
Okay.
and we write to that API. Cornerstone has an API. We write to the third party. We write to that, so we use.
Yeah, but you write the API, like you.
Well,
you
they have an
basically
API
integrate.
that we write.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have an API for that as well. So for
Yeah,
you,
So you have, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
So we can still use our same model for administrative accounts.
That's correct,
We
yeah.
don't have to go to your.
you don't have to go to the
Console.
admin console to add and remove
That's what
users.
I'm
There's all it's all
Which really
automatable.
simplifies for us. account
Totally.
management.
One place is always
Yeah,
nice.
right.
Yeah. I think
You
sometimes
probably have an integration with Okta then, right?
we do.
Oh,
So
you have
those
to use
people-
Okta?
No, we don't.
Oh.
No, we build our own. That's what-
Yeah.
Okta,
We pay a guy
Yeah.
to do that early. I think with what we want to make sure we do is, sometimes it's easy as a solution to want to be like the center of a wheel and think that like all the spokes connect into you. Dropbox, I think when I joined, there was like this sense that like, oh, we're gonna be the center of the universe, right? And then you like come down to earth a little bit and you realize, or a lot, let's say, fast.
yeah, both entrepreneurs have illusions of grandeur.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting for a while. I think with what we realize is we want to connect into your systems, right? We want to be able to play with what you're already doing. Gate, for example, we want to figure out how to make that work. Whether it's moving on to Dropbox from Gate or how to, but probably easier to just connect into it, right? And figure out how can we pair the two together. AD, SSO, all that.
I mean, Gate basically, all that Gate has is links to other documents on other sites like our DL. You could put those the links from Dropbox documents into Gate too, just a link. It's very
Yep.
easy to do. It's not as trivial.
Yeah, and that, what we would want to do is see if we can stop the sending of DVDs, right? Can we like save you from doing that process, right?
I was actually quite curious about that because so the DVD, the big issue with that is fewer and fewer of our team members have optical drives now, and we've been just speculating, can there be an alternative process where maybe it's not a DVD or a flash drive that goes out to people, maybe it could just be some sort of asynchronous sync. So maybe locally you have a server in Kenya or whatever, and then slowly as documents are added and deleted from the DL, having that updated or something like that. So as far as the way Dropbox and the way files are synchronized, do you have any use cases of organizations using like a large file share? Like the DL has about 18,000 documents in it, using something like that to give people in various locations access to the same like file share that's then accessed with like web front end somehow or what have you.
And do they make changes to those, or they just view it and preview it on the web, or need
The
to
DL
download
as
it?
now is read only for end users.
It's a library.
So in this case, what you can do is just create a folder specifically designed for DL, and share it with everybody else. You don't want them to do you want them to be stored locally in Ethiopia or in remote offices, or do you want them to be web access only?
Well, as it is right now, the DVD is a full copy of the library, and
Right.
when you run it, it opens up an Apache web server on your desktop, and then you can navigate the library, but just a locally stored copy. So that's why the fact that we're doing that, we're open to,
But let's rephrase the question. Instead of syncing a set of folders to a desktop, can you sync a set of folders to a server?
yeah.
We can do that.
Set up a
Not
daemon.
well. One thing
Well,
I'd say is,
and that's something that should be really
Yeah.
the DL conversation.
Let's
Time
do that
out.
offline.
and there might be some different ways to just approach the issue. Is what I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say,
definitely.
right? Is there's potential to do like selected sync of a folder, keep it all in the cloud, but everybody can access it, right? So it's shared with everybody. It's all in the cloud. That way, it's not syncing locally on their device. 18,000 files is a ton of files.
Yeah.
But then it's something that if they really need something, you're not sending DVDs anymore. You're just adding things to that library, and they're automatically syncing out across everybody it's shared with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's probably a way that we can remove that issue for you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a lot of
there's
data to
follow-up
do.
questions on all of the servers aspect of it, so we should take it offline.
Sure.
We'll do it. That's cool.
Other than DL things, were there any
You
other?
said DVD, so I got excited.
Yeah. I got a stack of them.
In terms of offboarding, of course, you can do it through LDAP, through an API. I can't offboard myself, so I have to do it with somebody
No,
else.
that's okay.
You can remove the user, and the
Yeah.
API will put a call. It'll suspend the user, and then through the Dropbox admin console, you can transfer that user's account through a manager or legal or IT. So you will never lose any content that the user has created if he or she leaves the organization. So there's a way to transfer somebody's account.
Good.
Yeah.
And then activity tab shows all of the activity within the business account. So any linked devices, any sharing activity, I can just do a drop down. Any sharing activity, password resets, memberships, all of that is located in the admin console.
What languages is the UI in? GLS? Is that
I'll have
good?
to double check on that. But everything is automatable for the API as well. And there's different.
Yeah, but I mean, for the end user,
Can they have like Spanish?
Oh,
or
that
something?
language. I thought the
Localization.
computer language. Yeah,
no,
gotcha.
No, what languages are?
I'll show you. So the desktop application, and I saw Arabic in there. We don't have Arabic, but the desktop application has all of those languages here.
Okay, so French and Spanish and Russian.
Chinese and Korean, a couple diversions.
And I think that's Thai. I thought that's Arabic for a second, but that's Thai actually.
But we can just say it's Arabic. I'm just kidding. No, I'm sure it works. Look, there's things.
That's probably simplified Chinese.
And
Mandarin.
yeah,
There's Ukrainian there too for.
Ukrainska.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Ukraine, in Russia, so I
Russia,
speak
Ukraine.
Russian.
Russia's right to above it. Ruski.
Ruski.
Oh,
Norsk is that Norwegish?
Norwegian.
Yeah,
right?
Lockmals is Norwegian.
And then on the web, I would assume it's similar. If I go here, let me close this. Languages, it's similar, same languages.
But it's, well, oh yeah, oh.
So if I go to Deutsch,
Is there Polish?
everything will
Polish?
be
Is there
in
Polish in the desk?
German.
Anyway.
Sprachen.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, well, we lost it.
Polish is Polish. Yeah.
That's what I was scared.
Well, I saw it there.
Good change.
Yeah,
Maybe we should've gone
Polski
Spanish
is
there.
Polish.
Yeah, I saw that.
Idioma.
Let's go back to English.
Yeah. I thought it was gone.
All right. Anything else before we stop recording?
I think one other item to mention about while you're setting up just the speed test, I think it's worth taking a look at that.
I think he had a question.
Yeah, just, so about notifications, so if I own a document, I share it with you, you go in, make a change. I know there's an audit trail of changes made, but is there any kind of notification system? Like, can I set it up where, only for this document, I get notified if anybody messes around with it?
I believe we do it on there is a document level, like you'll get a notification, it's almost like an email on Gmail where it like pops up in your corner, and you'll get that. That, I usually don't even look at those anymore.
Yeah.
You can set up RSS feeds on folders.
Yeah, so it's folder based. So for each shared folder, you can set up RSS feeds. So if you're very interested in a particular shared folder, each time somebody makes a change to it, you will get an email notification.
On that note, like, assuming that you're working in like groups and teams at times, one of the things that we've tried to do with groups in Dropbox is when somebody new comes onto a team or when a team is deployed, you can just add somebody into a team and every single folder that's attributed to that team will automatically be shared with that new individual. Rather than them having to like get on the ground and be like, all right, what files do I need? It's just automatically in their files and folders. So that's one thing to know.
So I'm gonna stop recording and set up the sync test.
Yeah.
I'm still okay.
We can say anything we want now.